What's going on with men's mental health? As a young male 30Y, I'm seeing many of my friends, male, struggle with maintaining social connections and often ending up being lonely. They don't speak up to me about it nor with anyone else. I've seen some friends speak to their partners about it. Is it just me who is seeing a rapid escalation of this among men? What's happening? It's been that way for many, many years. You've only just become fully aware of it is all. I think you're noticing what happens to us as we get into our 30s. Hold your social connections close. Keep visiting. Keep the dinner parties going or whatever you have. Once the pattern breaks, people get busy, drift away, and have to catch up once a year. Yeah, starting therapy about it today. Most men and even women pick the wrong field of work. By the time they are 30 or so, they start having families and realize they're stuck in their field. 'Cause they have a mortgage, car payments, kids, food, utilities. Maybe personal life is great, but spending 40 hours in a soul-sucking job kills mental health. Just my opinion anyways. You know, man, shit just sucks. I'm 32 and I have a tiny friend group, and romantic connections get harder and harder every month. I'm tired. Everything is expensive, so I just keep to myself, which is very lonely. But hey, I have a cat, so that helps. I honestly think it's getting better simply because so many are talking about it. Even if online and more anonymous places like Reddit. This has been a persistent issue throughout history that has resulted in a lot of trauma due to, basically, men harboring a ton of their own traumas and only unleashing them when the dam bursts. I'm hopeful that even just the fact that men's mental health is in the ether now might mean that, say, 20 years from now, there's a much healthier social norm around it. Men have a habit of compromising their friendships once they get into relationships and start families. They just don't have much time left after a full-time job and partner. And even less once they have children. All of this starts around the age you mentioned. Men have the highest suicide rate. Women have higher attempted rates. Men's mental health takes a backseat more often than not. Personally, I've had the issue with GFs. They would tell me their issues, what's bothering them. I would ask how they are doing, but they would almost never ask how I am doing. It's like the sad dog meme. They always say who's the good boy but never how's the good boy. What I've noticed bring a man in my 30s and having mental health issues is no one cares to listen to a man when he is sad or has mental issues. It doesn't matter, friends or family just don't care, and when I went to therapy it seemed they didn't care either. What I have noticed though is when girls have the same issue, people genuinely care, and that's where it gets fucked up. Makes us feel even worse, like why does no one care about us? Are we only here to be providers while we suffer crying? As a 30-year male with borderline, no friends or family, and trying to keep my head above water, I can tell you with factual certainty society could care less about me. I'm expected to just kill myself or man up, and that's acceptable behavior from Canadian culture. No one gives a fucking shit, and when you try to open up to your friends, it's cringe and they slowly shut you out. As a man who will be 32 in a week, I'm just constantly tired and burned out because I feel like everything is just out to shit on my day, week, leaf, and when I'm done I get to go home, smoke weed to forget about the day, Abid repeat for like the next 30 years. This is not how I planned my life. This is not what I want my life to be over the next 30 years. Overworked, overwhelmed, and overstressed. We don't really raise boys in terms of talking about how does one treat a friend, how to own it when you make a mistake, or show them that empathy is a strength. What it means to be a man is usually get a career, get married, buy a house, have 2 kids, yearly car trips to Disneyland. Now it's work 2 jobs and have 3 roommates. My solution was to make female and gay male friends. They are more willing to talk about their feelings and listen. Is this stereotyping? Probably. Has it worked for me? Absolutely. Can't speak for everyone, but it's a expectations thing. I work close min wage. Have a meh house and no car. Not in shape ECT. I have a very strong persistence for wanting to be close to perfect, even though that can be unrealistic at times and can leave me drained. Also, that same reason I don't pursue relationships, etc. Hard to seem like a man when everything around is falling apart, barely holding together. It's not gonna get any better anytime soon. Young men are constantly reminded that they're a disposable piece of trash. Men are disposable, at least that's my experience as a man. I can tell you this. If a woman tells you to open up, do not. It will be used against you later. Talk to your buds and brothers. The judgment won't be there and they won't think less of you. It's not a rapid escalation necessarily. Mental health issues have always been an issue, but the compulsion to hide or ignore them is decreasing. Whether it's due to people realizing the harm of toxic masculinity or the lack of desire to feed the all-consuming maw of capitalism. Men are just fed up and not faking it as much as they used to. Have you seen the economy lately? It's always been this way. As a 17 years old, I don't think I'm wiser than anyone here. But I think it's because guys are taught from childhood to man up and bottle their emotions. Otherwise you can't be a man. When I was a younger kid, and I'm sure many can relate to this, got made fun of when I even shed a tear in school. And I feel like it stuck with me. I can say that those past experiences have shaped the person I am today. Ha 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 ha, buy a house? With what money? Don't have a clue. My friend was seeing a physiatrist and on meds, but he still took his life in March. Then a few months after that, another young lad took his own life. My other neighbor's son took his own life 3 years ago. All adults. It's not just men's mental health, but the short version of it is that we're all experiencing a global cost of living crisis. Even worse than the Great Depression in the 1930s. Financial insecurity and anxiety, and leading a lot of people into depression and a feeling of isolation. As with most problems, it's complicated. I think it's uniquely challenging to be a young person, man or woman, in our Western culture. A few things to mind. It's been difficult for me to readjust to the changing landscape of work, romantic relationships and family. Even genders are up for grabs. So there's much instability. If I had time to maintain social connections, I don't think I could manage to pay my rent. Besides, most of us have lives that are just messy and complicated enough that no one wants anything to do with that. Just keep things nice and superficial. Common hobby. The weather. See you next time. It's barely worth the effort. Maybe you're just a little unaware how men are. Seems like you're extroverted and open. Most men aren't. I think, and this is just a personal theory, a lot of it has to do with people not dating, getting married as much as they used to. And I do think that men rely a lot on women for social connections. Women generally have a tighter group of friends and rely on each other for emotional needs, etc. And due to how society has brought up men, aka not talking about feelings and such, they tend seclude themselves more than single women. I say this based off of a lot of articles I've been reading lately. Women seem to be thriving single, whereas men are not. And I can only think that to be the main factor. Again, just a theory.